This is Jeff Zeig. Here I am in Phoenix, Arizona at the offices of the Milton Erickson Foundation with another 5-minute tip for therapists. One of the most important things to me is therapist development. How can we help people to be the best therapist? Now, you can read books on how to do therapy. You can go to workshops about how to do therapy. You can learn research about how to do therapy. But how to be the best therapist, that's something that it's not easy to learn from books or research or theories. That's something that you do by virtue of setting in motion a series of practice exercises that help you to be better at who you are. Now, one of the things that I do is that I study artists. Artists are experts in evocative communication. They're experts at using figurative language. They're experts at using metaphor. So I try to interview artists. I try to learn from artists. What are some of the things that I can do at the moments in therapy that I want to be evocative and help somebody to come to a conceptual realization? Now, one of the things that I do is I study great speakers. You could study President Clinton, a wonderful speaker, and one of the things that he does is recursions. Recursions are, in music, they would be theme and variation, like Beethoven starting the Fifth Symphony with 2 notes and 4 tones, and then creating variations on that theme that make it interesting. Well, good speakers use the same technique. They use recursions. So President Clinton would be talking about the economy. He would say, we have to work on strong, solid economic principles. We need to know about fiscal responsibility. We need to understand the monetary rules that make our society grow and increase the gross national product. Now, basically, he's just said the same thing, and we watch any great speaker speaking in recursions in sets of 3s in something that they do. Now, once I learned that, what I did was, for weeks, I would practice when I was doing hypnotic induction, when I was trying to get across an important concept to a client, I would use recursions until it suddenly became part of who I am, and now I don't have to think about it. Other things that therapists could practice is using gestures. How can you communicate something to a client by using a gesture rather than using words? Another thing that a therapist might want to practice is how to use tones. Every movie is based on having sound effects. There's a Foley artist that creates sound effects. Could we use sound effects to communicate things to patients, to clients? Now, what I do is that I have something that I'm working on developing the tone of my voice, the tempo of my voice, developing the expressiveness that I can communicate by using proximity. And by practicing these things, one thing at a time, I take them from my working memory and I begin to move them seamlessly into my procedural memory. As those things fall into my procedural memory, then I can add complexity. One of the things that we want to do is to be able to embroider our messages. Sometimes we want our messages to create a rich, dense structure that elicits meaning from within the client. We can do this by thinking about what are some of the elements that we want to develop in ourselves. How can we use the palette of communication that's available to us? How can we practice with some of those elements until they become seamless and we use them effortlessly in our process of communicating when we want to have emotional impact? This is Jeff Zeig with another 5-minute therapy tip for therapists, and greeting you and appreciatively from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.